Hello, hello everyone. How are you doing? Woo! Can I get all your attention to the front of the room? So make sure if you hear me clap once. There we go. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We are super excited to host everyone here. Yes. So who is excited about Startup Weekend? Raise your hand if you're already signed up. That could be mentoring. You're a part of that. Oh, okay. Okay, we got some QR codes. We got our links. If we need to help you get to the ticket portal, you can make sure that's taken care of. It's a great weekend, so I definitely encourage everyone to participate. But my name is Sophia Porter. I'm the Executive Director for Building Our Tech. We are a nonprofit organization here in Orlando. We've been here for 10 years now. We do workforce training, startup development, small business, career readiness, all the things. So if you ever have questions in those areas, you can reach out to our team, and we'll be happy to help you. I'm just going to do a quick housekeeping, run a show about us. We primarily focus on tech education, tech startups, with the small businesses. If people want to get more tech-enabled in their small business, education, they can also come to us there. If you are in need of the Wi-Fi password, this is what it is. You can take a quick picture if you need it. Would you do that for a second? 215-41466. So y'all already went through this, but again, we were founded in 2016. We have Mike Felix, who is one of our co-founders of BOT, here with us today. So yeah, starting with the mission, that was very nice. With that, we work with founders, tech professionals, so we can transition to technology and college students and graduates. In this space, just housekeeping, let's all respect each other. We are just all about diverse perspectives, different ways to uniqueness of celebrating each other in regards to what our thoughts and minds. So just keep in mind of just having open conversations, questions, and we do also encourage you to be as active as possible when called upon for a Q&A, and then after, just a little bit more networking that you can do. If you are in need of the restrooms, it's your first time here, we have the public restrooms down past the glass. Right before you get to the coffee machine, it'll be to your left. You have your Wi-Fi, and then we do ask if you use BOT Orlando, and I know Rajiv has a hashtag too for SWORL that you can utilize for Startup Weekend. For BOT, we are proud of our sponsors and partners. We couldn't be able to do what we do without Orange County, JPMorgan Chase, and Target. We do host events such as this. We do co-events when we are by ourselves. We do workshops every month. We have stuff, we did like Open Claw earlier. We have another one coming up on Thursday with a collaborating partner. We have a partnership with Starter Studio. We do have a bigger, more business creative event. If that's more of your jam, we have that coming up, along with our partnership with Chase. We talk about building goals, setting the budget, and saving. You can find all that information on our Eventbrite page. All right, so I'm going to hand it over to Rajiv. He's the founder, CEO of Formulate, and the president of Pluto.
Thanks, Sophia. One arm today, so I'm going to try to balance this. If I keep it here, can you guys hear me? Closer? Yeah, okay. All right, first of all, thank you so much to BOT for doing the joint event with us. Let's give it up for Emily, Sophia, and the rest of the BOT team. We love BOT. We've been partnering with them for years, and one of the main events we partner with them for is Startup Weekend, which we're going to be talking about quite a bit about today. First of all, and second of all, after thanking God, let's give yourselves a round of applause because you made it out here. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Rajiv Menon. I run a software development and consulting company called Formulate. That's my day job. But I also have a nonprofit called Orlando Innovation League. We've been around for a while. We do monthly events as well as our 2 flagship events in the year called Startup Weekend, which I will be talking about shortly. There we go. Okay, so a quick introduction to our nonprofit, OIL, Orlando Innovation League. As I said, we are doing this as a joint event with BOT today. I coined that term, so I'm going to trademark that. All the preneurs, has anybody heard that term before? No? Okay, let me tell you what it is. You got the solopreneurs, you got the entrepreneurs, you got the intrapreneurs. So we serve all the preneurs, right? We're able to help you with innovation of any kind, new product development, services, products, innovation in government, nonprofits, whether you're a startup or enterprise, whatever it may be. We do a variety of different events through the year, just like Bob does. Innovation Stories is when we have experts from the community who are doing innovation come and talk about their methodology. We're big on methodology, by the way. Really enjoy our tools like business model canvas, value option canvas, data-driven decision making, all of those things. We do have Quick Pitch, which actually we just did a few weeks ago. It was our Quick Pitch event. We do innovation tours where we go and take a group of people to a particular location where there's a new product development or a company that's doing some really cool stuff, and we have a chance to see how they do innovation there. And of course, we have Startup Week in Orlando, which is by far our biggest event that everybody knows us for. And we'll be going into detail about that specifically today. So I'll come back to that one. We've been around for about 12 years. We got tens of thousands of followers. We got lots of attendees at every event. And of course, just like you see here, we have great networking with speakers. About half of you guys, I think, have probably been to an OIL event as well. All right, can we play this, Mike? I'm going to play a little video for you. Let's see how that happens, how it works with the volume. Sound 96. Cool. So that was a little video. There's all this. That was a little video from some of our past events. So the next slide here. There we go. That's our next slide. So what is Startup Weekend? How many people here have heard of Startup Weekend? Let's see a quick show of hands. That's right, probably about half of you. How many of you have attended a Startup Weekend? Okay. Cool. All right, well, for the rest of you, your lives are about to be changed. For the folks who have attended Startup Weekend, am I kidding? For the guys who attended Startup Weekend, am I kidding?
No.
Thank you. For the folks who have attended Startup Weekend, raise your hands again, please. So keep it up for just a second. Everybody who has not attended a Startup Weekend and wants to get a first-person, understanding of what Startup Weekend is like, stick around after the event and make sure you talk to somebody with their hands up, because I can't do justice with it. I'm going to try my best right now. You can put your hands up. Thank you. I'm going to try my best to explain what Startup Weekend is, but I'm telling you, it's an experience. You can't put it into words. It is actually transformational for your career and just for your life itself, and innovation of any kind. So what happens is you come in on Friday night and you pitch ideas. Like there's going to be a room of 70, 80 people, they're all going to pitch ideas, and then we're going to have voting, right? And we're going to pitch and find which are the best ideas to work on. And then everybody gets together in teams, and typically there are 10 to 12 teams with 7, 8 people in them, and they're all complete strangers. They've never worked together before. They work the whole weekend from Friday through Sunday. And the thing that makes Startup Weekend different is that it's not just about learning how to put code together or learning how to do, getting trained in business innovation methodology. You're actually talking to real customers and you're trying to land real business. And here's the thing, over half the teams will actually generate revenue in that first weekend. I'm going to say that one more time. In one weekend, from Friday through Sunday night, half the teams will have generated revenue or will have letters of intent or commitments from clients, or they'll have dozens, if not hundreds, of registered users waiting to try an application that literally came into being that weekend. It happens every time. It's unbelievable how it happens, but every single time we've done an event, and we've been doing the Startup Weekend events from 2017-ish, so almost 10 years there. That's what happens, and it's really an incredible thing to see, because it pushes the boundaries of what you think you can achieve in a single weekend. But you're working with highly motivated people in a team together, you're going to learn so many different things, and we'll talk about some of them shortly. All right, so you form teams, and then you give a progress report at the end of Sunday night on how far you got, and there are prizes, right? And the top 3 teams that actually win Startup Weekend, because we've been doing it for so long and we've got so many friends in the community. The top 3 teams get direct admission into the Startup Studio Accelerator. All right, so that's the prize. That's what you're fighting for. And let me be clear, even if you don't place in the top 3 teams, or even if your idea doesn't get picked, it is still a phenomenal event. I'll give you an example. How many people here know about Sri Ramadani? Oh, man, the number gets smaller every year. What's going on? Sri needs to do a better job of upping her social media game. Not that she doesn't do enough of it. But Sri Ramadani was the founder of Stats. And that is one of the only fintech unicorn that came from Orlando. And now she started a new company, Worth AI, which has raised, what, 30 million? Is that the latest number?
Just the last one.
Yeah, just one round. That was just her last round, okay? And she got her start in Startup Weekend. Her idea wasn't even picked. She just went through the whole process, worked on someone else's idea, and she learned so much from it that she started her own startup. And she went through all the great resources we have in our community, including Startup Studio and others, and she created a unicorn. So that's what's possible. We have many such success stories. There you go. So, like I said, we got plenty of friends in the community. Massey is here. Say hi, Adam. That's Adam from Massey. He's a sponsor of ours. We've got Ernst & Young, Orlando Magic, several other companies that support us. And we've got grants from the city as well as the county to do this, because this actually results in real companies being formed with real customers, real revenue, and real jobs right here in our community. All right. Here's some of the numbers. By the way, these numbers are outdated. I should really upgrade my slides. All those numbers just multiply by 2, because those are about 5-6 years old now. We've had over 500,000 people go through Startup Weekend. It is a global event run by Techstars. We do the event here in Orlando, but there are events all over the world. There used to be something called the Global Startup Battle. which was, it was regional. So we had the Americas, we had Asia, all that stuff, and then we had a global one. Back in 2017 and 2018, they stopped doing those now. But the last two winners of the global startup battle were which city? Orlando. That's right, Orlando, right here. So not only do we do startup weekend, we do startup weekend probably better than anybody in the world. So we won first place. Our team from here won first place twice for global startup battle. That's how we do startup weekend in Orlando. And one of those companies, LeaseGate, has now gone on to they raised like $16, $17 million too. They're right here in Winter Park. They still have the same name, same logo, everything that they came up with in Startup Weekend that they still use today. So that is what Startup Weekend is. And we have a gift for you. Here's a QR code for getting that discount code for 30% off. But the first 3 you have to use it free. Is that right, Casey? Yeah.
Scanning it should take you to the free.
It'll take you to the first 3 uses of that QR code is a free ticket, and after that it's 30% off. So I'll give you guys a minute to scan that code. It includes, so it's a whole weekend, right? So you're starting Friday night, you're working all the way through Sunday night. It includes 7 meals. So there's breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 2 days. There's unlimited snacks and coffee, of course. We have over 20 mentors. We have 3 judges, and it's a lot of work to put on that event. But once you get in there, you'll know why it is. And of course, there's a lot of other training that comes in with it too. So we train you on the business model, we train you on value proposition, we train you on how to pitch, we train how to have customer discovery sessions, how to land your first customers. And we also train you on AI tools. There's a lot of stuff that happens in one weekend. It's incomparable to pretty much any event in terms of how much we pack into that single event. So hopefully I'll see you guys there. I will come back to say a quick hello at the end, but for now, let me hand it back to Sophia. Thanks, Sophia.
So we're gonna have all our panelists and moderators come up, and we'll get this set up right now.
Just turn it back.
Yeah, perfect. Yep. Can you hear me? Oh, talk again. Hello. Get it closer to the mic. Turn it up. Hello. Hello.
I don't know if mine is working either.
I agree, but yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Okay. No, I can't hear you. Hello. 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 Maybe the phone. Other way.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. There we go. Okay.
I'm gonna hold it.
Yeah. Sorry.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
No, you're gonna have to hold it closer to you. Hello. Hello.
Now? Yeah, I can hold it.
Sorry about that. Okay, I'm gonna. All right, sorry guys.
I'm so glad y'all are here.
All right, we're good to start?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay, how about this place? This is my first time being here, you guys. I love it. It's so cutesy. I've never seen anything like this before. So yeah, I'm just wowed by this place. And I want to thank everybody who actually put this together. I think this turned out to be amazing, right? Give a round of applause. All right, we're gonna have some fun. If you're here for just a blunt conversation, this is not where it's gonna be. We're gonna have some fun and ask pretty cool questions. And I'm gonna guide this wonderful people through our conversation. The sun is, oh my God.
No, you're covering the sun for me, it's perfect.
All right, so anybody that doesn't know me, I'm Irina. I'm the co-founder and a COO of Polarize. I am located here in Orlando. And I'll be moderating, like I said, tonight, and I'll be guiding this conversation. So very important, tonight is about real talk, no hype. We have these amazing people with us tonight who are using AI to build, to lead, to change. Some made the switch from traditional operations. Others launched companies that would not exist without AI. We're going to dig into what's actually working, what's not, and where AI meets reality. So let's start. Excited? I am. All right. So with me, okay, awesome. So with me, I have Adam. Adam is a VP of IT and AC Services. He brings an enterprise lens tonight, how AI works inside a large established operation. Then I have Louis. Louis is the president and co-founder of Peak Learning. He's also a former VP of Emerging Technologies at Full Sail University. Then we have Matthias, COO, CMO of Coditech AI, an AI software company. He's building at the cutting edge while also investing in the next wave of AI startup. And I have Tareen here, founder of GeoSync, I'm so sorry, GlowSync. And she's building as a founder and bringing the human-centered perspective. Very important.
Yeah.
All right. Yes. So let's jump right in. I want to start at where it all begins. So the first moment you handed something to AI and thought, okay, this changes things. Sorry. And I'm gonna dive right in. So, Adam, what is the first thing you handed off to AI in your business, and how did it change how you use your time?
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
All right. It's funny because the way that I'm hearing the question today is a little different than the way that I read the question when it was sent to me originally. So my first experience with AI is, over the course of years as the technology has changed. But I really want to answer it as we picture AI today, because I'm very bullish on AI in general, but I am also a realist when it comes to AI. We are a pest control and lawn care company, and you wouldn't think that we'd be doing cutting edge stuff. But let me tell you what the projects that we're currently working on are. First, we are working with a partner to build a model that is tuned specifically to predict cancellation possibility and cross-sell possibility, which are sort of two sides of the same coin. One is a customer who's approaching the point of saying, I don't want to do business with you anymore, and one on the other side that's saying, I want to do more business with you. So we have run this model against our database over the course of time, and we have very rapidly gotten to the point where we can reliably predict, much better than our people who have a sense for it, when customers are approaching potential cancellation. And we've got 200 offices across the country. If we can move the needle like 0.1%, that's a huge amount for us. So just getting a little bit of a leg up on potential cancellation is huge. And so that's one area that we're working on this. And I'm, of course, glazing over the months and months of work that went into that. But figuring out how to put that into something that is actionable for our team is a different kind of challenge. Secondly, we took an area of our company that is highly repetitive, working in portals and sorting through emails, and we have agenticized that area so that we now have AI agents that are running through doing what used to take a team of 20 all day and turning it into, so far, like maybe a team of 5 with a bunch of red flags as we slowly improve the process, where it goes through and says, here's what I completed, here's what I completed, but a human should review, and here's what I just flat out couldn't complete because I couldn't reach the threshold of competence. That was a very long answer. We're also deploying AI tools, specifically Copilot, because one of the downsides of large companies, we want to keep it in the family. So we're a Microsoft shop, so we're pushing Copilot to everyone. And there's a bunch more, but I think that's good for me.
Yeah, I know, and a lot of you had asked me who are here tonight, how are you using AI? And I think that pretty much covers some of the perspective that Ed shared with us. Tarina, I was wondering if you could chime in here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. As a person with internet and a member of society, I think I've outsourced AI for my weaknesses. My particular weaknesses was planning. So allowing AI to put my ideas on paper or just give me the task list has allowed me to expand my time into focusing more on action, which has helped me really streamline and progress all of my goals, especially with my app, with my own fitness journey, and just the ways that I do use AI. I also use it for emotional intelligence, for example, to really understand more about myself and how I maneuver towards those goals.
Thank you. It's very relevant, I think, in the current environment for many of you, I think. And actually, Adam, from a corporate perspective, how do you think about training employees and teams to adopt AI effectively?
So we have a huge base of users. There's about 3,000. And we have everything from I don't know what AI is, all the way to I've got a paid plan with Claude and a paid plan with ChatGPT. So we have to roll out to try to tick as many boxes as we can. In general, I sort of feel like when it comes to technology, there's a percentage at the bottom that's not going to embrace any technology, and they're a lost cause if we're going to invest too much time. There's a percentage at the top that if I just make it available, they're going to figure it out, they're going to run with it, and then there's a chunk in the middle. And so I am always focused on how can I widen the chunk in the middle and get maximum return from that. So we start with things like, how do I use Copilot built into Microsoft Outlook? How do I use any AI chatbot? What are the kinds of questions that I would ask? What is the right kind of data to upload? What is the wrong kind of data to upload? What kinds of things do I want to allow a system to see on my phone or on my computer? What kinds of things do I definitely want to avoid? We are still looking for what is the right training course to give people. And I just have to kind of conclude with this. I've been working for NASA for 23 years now. Before that, I worked for the US Navy. I've seen some large bases of users here. I can't recall a time in my entire career that there has been something that has moved so quickly where if I knew that, say, Pete had a great AI training course, I don't know that I would trust that 2 weeks from now it's still relevant. Even what we do in my team, as cutting edge as we can be, month to month is a major change from what we were doing a month before. A new model comes out, it changes the game completely. So that is one thing that I would definitely tell people is remember, this is complicated and it changes quickly, and if you don't know what's going on, just read about it next week and you'll be on top of it for about 10 days.
I love it. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. All right. Luis and Matthias, let me ask you, your companies were born with AI. Would you ever even exist without it? Luis?
Yeah, I mean, for Coditech particularly, we are an AI orchestration system. So without AI, there's no need for a company like ours. There's nothing to orchestrate. But I want to chime in on what you were just saying now, because we're a company that wouldn't exist without AI, but we're also a company that I don't know if it will exist in 6 months, right? Because of the market is moving very fast and things like that. Yeah, I hope not. Right, but whenever I started implementing AI at first, I was on the other side of the table. I was an investor, and I was using that for due diligence, and it was too clumsy, and I had to do a lot of manual verification. It came wrong most of the time, and then the fad of vibe coding came about, and I was trying to build things on myself, and that's how I reconnected with my co-founder. I mean, we've known each other for a while, but he had been working on automating the whole process of software development, coming in from a compliance and accountability, auditability first mindset, right? So I joined Coditech then, and we've been working really hard on automating that whole process of software development for regulated industries, and yeah, it wouldn't absolutely exist before the advent of AI.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so similar with us. I mean, in learning, which is what I've done for the last 20-something years, a lot of people focus on the content for learning. So this is a lecture, it's a PowerPoint, it's a video, but it's just half of the question. And the other half of the question is like, do I know that person actually learned? And it's been in the world of learning and education, it's been a very difficult concept to grasp and to be able to assimilate and be able to implement. Because the reality is the assessment, which is what we call evaluation of learning, is really hard to do at scale. So somebody invented tests at some point in life because it's very convenient for teachers. So it's okay, that's wrong. But it really is not evaluating learning very effectively. But there is some very good evaluation methods at scale. If you could have an expert do an interview for every single learner and dig deeper into the answers, because like I get very nervous with tests, so I do very poor testing, and so that's a layer that you can't really remove. But if somebody's talking to me, you'll know that I know a lot more than the test does. So how do you replicate that? Well, you need the expert. An expert cannot in the classroom talk to. If this was my classroom, I cannot have a deep interview with all these people. So it's a problem that could not be solved until generative AI. So when we started P, decided not only we can create content, and we knew that was going to be easy and everybody's going to replicate it. And it's how do we know people actually learn? Can we replicate these experiences of evaluating learning at scale without having an expert present? So before generative AI, there was no way to solve that problem, and that's what we did. So that's why we exist, because of that.
Yeah, I think you're much more ahead of the curve than other companies because of that, right?
Yeah.
And you as well. All right, awesome. So, again, Lewis, if I could ask you, where do brand creativity and trust still matter the most?
So I think that human connection, brand creativity, all of those things are going to matter. That have always mattered. I don't think that have ever stopped mattering, but every single time we face with this question on new technology, we realize that it matters more than ever. And if you're in a startup and you're in one as well, and you're an investor on that side as well. So it used to be that if you're a great technologist, that could be your differentiation. So an investor came to you and say, okay, well, I did this piece of technology, I'm a great engineer, nobody else can do it as well as I can. Well, that's out. Because apparently now everybody can do it absolutely, which I don't fully believe, but in theory, it gets you very far away. So now from that point of view, it's like, well, so what is your differentiation? So if technology by itself, if nobody differentiates you, what makes you different, what makes you unique? We're gonna have to go back to those things, those creativity, the support, the face-to-face, the care for your customers, the personal relationship you create with them. That's what's gonna keep you. So it matters more than that.
Yeah, and I would say even from an investor perspective, right? Like how you evaluate teams also completely shifted, right?
Yeah.
YC would not look at a startup that didn't have a technical co-founder a few years ago.
Right.
And now you may not need a technical co-founder. You would need to hire someone down the road,
Right.
But you can get far enough with an MVP, prove that there's a market for it without it,
Right.
And at the same time, because the barriers to building have become so low, even when we invest in a company, what we're looking at is really that domain expertise, is someone that really knows that space, knows the customer, knows the market, and that's the differentiator on itself. And then when these companies get funding, they are hard to be caught on because funding also buys them more users, buys them distribution channels that once you reach a certain mass, it's very hard to catch up to that, right? Like, and not always the best product wins. I think that's also something that it's very established in the VC community. There's companies that are very technical, create these products that are incredible, but if they don't have the right distribution methods, don't the right strategies to reach their customers and really understand the pain of their customers, are not going to be the successful ones.
Yeah, and I think also comes from asking questions, right? If you are talking to VCs, ask appropriate questions so you can learn, so you can upgrade yourself and reiterate and move to the next step. But yeah, thank you for your input. All right, so now let's talk about what AI actually looks like day to day when you're building and running a business. Now, that's my favorite topic. So I'd like to ask you, Luis, how has AI changed what's possible when it comes to building and running a product or business today?
Well, you don't need a lot of people. That's the biggest thing. And I saw right there, my co-founder promised a customer a piece of technology for next day, which when I was a software engineer, it would have been a few months of a team doing it. And I've been in his shoes. I would have been the guy to please tell the CEO not to promise the thing can be delivered too quickly. And here's the technical side actually promising the thing for next day. And the customer on the other side said, no, let's not do it tomorrow. Let's do it Monday. It was Thursday. And because I think it would be too much. And I swear to God, Jack did that on Sunday afternoon, maybe when he's doing a barbecue in his backyard or something. But delivered on Monday. Beautiful dashboard that the guy wanted, exactly the clear specification, and I'm pretty sure that he didn't use anybody else for it. So we have a team of 3 engineers that and I'm sure it's the same thing that everybody else is experiencing that can deliver at a very high level very quickly. Now the other areas of as well support. We were having a serious conversation today about automating all our support and. Having an agent just do it. And so you don't need a lot of people to create a company. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I think you also need to kind of strategize where you want to be, right, and how you're going to implement. But to your point, you don't need a lot of people.
Are we able to ask questions?
Later, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Keep that question.
I got a question.
All right. Anybody else would like to chime in here? Three. So the question was, sorry, Matthias, apologies. That was very relevant to you. How has AI changed what's possible when it comes to building and running a product or business today?
Yeah, it's similar to what I was just saying earlier, right? The barriers to build are very low nowadays. But building the software, the actual build process is maybe just 30% of the entire life cycle of software development. And now it's more important than ever that you spend, thorough time, long time talking to your customers, understanding, creating the proper specifications that, once you hand it off to an AI agent or to multiple AI agents to, tackle bit by bit all the way to deployment, it's the right product in the first place, right? It's not, if you have the right product and the right specifications, it's a lot easier to build, but AI is also an exponential support. So if you have the wrong strategy, you're just going in the wrong direction a lot faster. Right? So that's also a challenge that you have to face. And those wrong directions can be quite expensive if you're relying on API calls to different AI coding providers and things like that.
Can I?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, go ahead.
So the question really was building and running a business. And if you're building a business, I 100% agree and echo everything that was just said there. What you need to build is a much smaller ask today than it used to be. And there may be entire roles that you don't need or can be minimized or multiple roles can be played by a single person who has all of this, at their fingertips. Running a business that already exists might be a different conversation. So bear with me, a couple quick thoughts. My children are 18 and 16. They want nothing to do with AI. They think it's all slop, it's all garbage, it's untrustworthy, it hallucinates, it shouldn't write the papers for them because it's cheating, it shouldn't be used for research because that's cheating. They inherently distrust it, okay? Now, when they have to work and they see how helpful it is, they will likely change their minds to some degree. My business is an in-person business. We come into your house, we come into your room. We need a personal relationship with people. And I hope I don't look foolish in a few years saying this. No AI is going to replace the trust that I have in my technician, Luis, who's coming to my house, right? No amount of AI interaction is going to make me feel differently than if Taryn is at my kitchen table promising me that my lawn will look better because of our services. And so I think there is a very quick jump to AI is going to replace everything. That is not what research is showing right now. It's showing a ton of investment, and it's showing a lot of ROI in some areas, and others, none, right? Lots of people investing a ton and measuring what I would call the wrong thing. How many tokens are you using in Claude? Right? That is not, what about writing crappy code but using a lot of tokens? That's, right? So I sort of feel like I told you in the beginning, I'm an AI realist, right? It's not going away, it's changing the way we do business, and there will be companies built on and running exclusively by virtue of AI. But there are definitely functions that I don't see a clear path to AI changing the way that we operate in certain areas. Maybe ever, but at least for, I don't know, a lifetime, 3 months.
And I think it depends who you play, like what you play with, what industry you're in, right? If you have that, Macy's, the human, it's a service for people. So I think it needs that extra touch for the human in the loop, and I'm sure with others too. But anyway, I'm not gonna get into that. All right, next. Karine, I want to ask you, where does AI truly accelerate progress, and where does it create a false sense of momentum?
Thank you. Where does AI truly bring progress? I think, like I said, with structure, I think as a founder, you get lost in the inspiration sometimes, and having that mirror to give you structure for your plans gives you empowerment to move forward with what you're building, and that was my experience with it. I do use AI as like an emotional intelligence tool, so it also gives me feedback based on my experience and the input that I give it, but also the quality of the output that you get from AI comes from the quality of the input you put into AI. So that's important to recognize as far as it minimizing your progress. Like they said, it's more important than ever to have an authentic brand and to understand who you are in a market where everyone's doing a good job with AI. I think that in order to sustain the marketplace and to sustain your own self, like you have to have a strong sense of self. And if you don't have that, you're utilizing AI for emotional intelligence in particular, it can get you lost in anxiety loops. If you don't know what you want from it, and you can't identify like your context or your goal or objective from the AI, then it can get cloudy with the feedback, right? So it just really depends on, you have to be conscious of how you're communicating with it and what you're really looking for out of it. Because sometimes for emotional intelligence, again, we can have a raw thought and it looks like an anxiety loop if you don't have a structure, a container, or just a format on how you're presenting it to the AI. But I also really like how AI learns. It learns about you, it learns your personality, it learns from your own experiences, and it also learns from how you choose to be supported by it. So it's really adaptable in that way, which is powerful in a world where everyone's kind of chasing trends. But for it to be so personalized for you, I think that's really empowering.
Thank you for that. All right, so Adam, you touched a little bit about this question, and I was curious if you can add a little bit of your color if it creates a false sense of momentum.
Yeah, so I was telling the story yesterday when you're trying to cut through this idea of how AI will be applied in life, right? And the example I used was, I take a pepper and I throw it in a bowl, and I take some celery and I throw it in a bowl, and whatever, chicken, an onion, whatever, and I put some water in there, and I add salt and pepper, and I cook it for a little while, and I end up with a soup. And that soup tastes fine. Everybody agrees that this soup tastes fine. But now I take the exact same ingredients, and I brown the chicken, and then I put it in the oven, and while it's cooking, I take the vegetables and I roast them, and I cut off the bad parts and everything. I really take my time to draw the sweetness and the flavors out of them. And then I blend them up, and I add the boiling water, and I put that all together, and I make this soup. And it's the same ingredients, but I promise you those two soups do not taste the same. We all have the same ingredients, but I believe that the way that we incorporate AI, people are going to sense the authenticity that we were just talking about. And I'm fearful that there will just be a blandness to everything that people create, because there isn't a lot of thought, and it's easy to shortcut this stuff, right? Just throw your prompt in and take whatever BS comes out and just try to pass that off as a finished product. But we don't go back to crappy restaurants, right? And I cook a lot in my house, and I know when I put shitty food on the table, and I know when I'm really proud of it. And so I really like that analogy. And if you don't like soup, use cookies and brownie butter and whatever your thing is. I think people will be able to, and will become better at spotting authenticity in business, authenticity in the way that we communicate with one another, and sniffing out when people are phoning it in by just letting an agent run, or letting a tool generate communication or something along those lines. There are plenty of emails that I've taken right out of there, right? But I also sometimes eat fast food, so we've got to understand when we need quality food and when we don't.
Balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, balance. So if you're cooking next time, you're gonna have to think about AI.
That's right.
All right. Luis, I want to ask you, what advice do you have for team members and employees on staying relevant in the future?
A couple things. I'm old enough that this is like the third revolution of technology revolution that I've been around, right? Like I've been the fourth in the PC, the internet, mobile, now social, but now this.
He is very old.
I am. And but my point is, like, we've been here before. We have gone through this, and at all this stage, we've seen people resistant to it. People like, I remember a time with somebody. I was in a company, and the CEO was like, "Where are the emails?" The secretary had to print out the emails, And I look at it like, "Oh, I should really resign." And then that didn't become a thing, right? So you can't really go against the technology of time. I'm old enough to remember where teachers didn't want calculators in the class. They lost that battle. Then they didn't want computers in the class. They lost that battle. So when I talk to people that don't want to, not children who also have some sort of a thing against AI, it's like, don't fight the calculator. You're gonna lose that fight. So that's number one. And number two is the thing we'll be talking about. I mean, the physical presence, the relationships, the support and care that you have for your customers, the personal aspect of doing business is something that everybody has to have. So I actually tell our kids, get the hell out of your house. Your first job should be in an office. and because you're going to need that for the future. And also because hiring is broken. You know, you can no longer apply to a job and actually get a job. That's done. And so yeah, those two things. Don't fight the calculator, meaning say embrace it. There's no choice. There's no choice. If 20 years ago you didn't want to have anything to do with the internet and email, you lost a job and never got it back. And today is the same thing with AI. Don't fight it. You need to embrace it. And the second part, the personal aspect of work and relationship is more important than ever.
Yeah, 100%. All right, I want to touch a little bit more on emotional intelligence, if you don't mind. Where should founders be cautious when it comes to emotional intelligence, both external facing and internal?
Sure. So I think a lot of people use AI for external tasks, like their marketing, their emails, making lists, making emails, things like that. But we don't have enough tools to really understand how to maximize the internal reflection that can come from AI. And like I said, having a structure for that and an objective from the input that you're putting in, right? So I love using it in my raw thought. If you're kind of a ruminator, and especially if you're just a visionary, you live in your mind a lot, and that can be, a scary place sometimes. So having the AI and a structure and an objective to be able to get yourself out of that without just to be able to empower yourself to get out of that, I think is really powerful, because you don't have to wait, you don't have to hold on to it for a week for therapy. I'm not saying it's not a replacement for therapy, but she's good along the lines when you're not, you can't go to therapy every day. Yes. Always a she. She listens the best. My AI, she is my best friend. She's my hype girl, my therapist, my cheerleader. So I think it's important to also understand just how you like to be supported, because you have the power to program that into AI. And often, like my clients, they don't think about things like that. So it's really a powerful tool, especially just in a world where we lack communication with each other and we lack helpful support sometimes. Often, just because if you don't know how to support yourself, like you're not going to really know how to support others like effectively. So I think having that time to step back, especially as a leader, as a visionary, as an entrepreneur, it's important to understand yourself in that way so you can give that back to the people who work with you, who grow with you, and who build with you. So yeah, I just did a workshop on how to strengthen emotional intelligence with AI, so it's really fun.
All right, awesome. So Matthias, I'm going to give this one to you. What's the most practical place to start, and what does building smarter looks like today?
Yeah, a lot of people that have the domain expertise and think, oh, I am well knowledge in this area, I can train an AI agent to do this better than anyone else, and decide to go that route. I think that's probably a little bit backward, especially in the small and medium-sized businesses, right? Because there are things about your business that you love doing. There are things that I think Taryn was talking about your weak points, right, and how you can use AI to aid you on that, right? So instead of using your strong points to create the best agent there is, keep the things that you love doing and the things that you hate doing, for instance, social media or following up with emails and things like that. You can outsource some of that to AI. But at the same time, I also think that there's power in going through it, right, and ruminating. Right? AI is a generative tool, meaning that you have a blank page and you tell it to fill it, you will. And a lot of times just staring at that white paper and thinking through is going to allow you to go in a different direction than you would have otherwise. So don't outsource the thinking itself to AI, right? I think once you have the idea very clear, once you talk to your customers, once you realize, okay, this is what we need built, then you can kind of let go of the build process on its own. But the first portion of creating the clarity about this is the direction we're going, this is what we're going to build, it's still very important to be done, internally with your own thoughts or your partners and other things like that.
So, Adam and Louis, I'll take this one for you. I'll give this one for you. What's the biggest misconception founders?
Sorry, I forgot about the microphone.
Animal Nurse, what's the biggest misconception founders have about AI right now, and where are people over relying on it?
Founders.
Founders.
Dude, that's.
And their own enemies.
I think the biggest misconception is that they think they can create something unique. And let the AI solve the problem that may or may not be original. So I think that's the biggest misconception of founders. So I have this great idea, I can implement it, and whether or not that's solving an actual problem or actually unique enough to be a market for the problem that you're solving is a whole other question. And so if you ever thought about an idea of a business that you never actually executed, and then you see someone like, oh, I have this idea, right? Well, now everybody can do it. And they actually can execute on that idea. The same principle still applies. You have to execute it well. You have an actual problem that there's an actual market. Now, on the other side of that coin, there are also problems that you can solve now that you could not solve before. And there are new problems. That are new. It's just that we couldn't just attend to them because there was no solvable way for them. So that's the other side. But the biggest misconception is that if I had the idea first, now I can build that. Now I actually have a product or a company, and you can be proved wrong faster. That's for sure.
Okay, that's valid. Yes. Adam.
I like that answer.
Yeah.
I will now have to come up with another one. AI can be a shortcut to results. I think the biggest misconception is that AI is always a shortcut to results. I think it is going to breed a new kind of laziness where people no longer think problems are complicated because they can just spit out an answer. And that answer is not going to actually get them to results. It's a shortcut, but it's not going to get them where they want to be. I think, and I'm sorry because I feel like there's this negative theme to what I'm talking about, which is not my intent. I do think there are just incredible uses for AI, and I use it all day, every day. But I think there's a lot of misapplication going on right now. I know we're talking about founders, but in general, I think there are a lot of people over-trusting AI, over-investing in AI, expecting results that we just are not able to provide reliably yet. Anyone who tells you this is how it's going to be for a long period is a fool. Anyone who underestimates what AI can do is not only a fool, they're going to be proven a fool way faster than any of us can conceive of, but also acting like it's already there right now is a very quick way to fail. And I just feel like I'm already starting to see some of that laziness with people who expect that a problem that used to be something that required time and effort and thought is now just dump it into Claude, and whatever comes out is my solution, and what you actually end up with is a crappy step forward that doesn't actually get you where you're trying to go. So I'm going to advise you to not use AI for everything, and to pay attention to when it's the right solution and when it is not.
But now that's a critical thing.
Yeah, right.
But you still have to think, you know.
Yep, that's good. All right, so before I open it up for the room, I'd like to close it off with a few more questions, and then I'll open up for Q&A.
All right.
I need some energy in the room. Guys, come on, let's go. We want to make it fun.
I like
All
this group over here. They're very sweet. They love the female AI.
Don't pretend. All right, champagne to that table. All right, we're going to wrap the panel with one final question for each of you. and connect directly to something happens right here in Orlando. So I'll start with you, Adam. From Mace's perspective, do you think events like Startup Weekend are still relevant in the age of AI, and why?
Definitely not. No, I'm just kidding. If you have been to SWORL before, I have participated for like probably 7 or 8 years now. It is one of, if not my favorite event in all of Orlando, because it is always so exciting to watch. This is not a paid advertisement, but it might sound like one. I can't believe how reliably people get into a room, throw out these sometimes mature, but sometimes very early stage half-baked ideas. Other people chime in, somehow group forms. You get to watch it like turn into arguments and fall apart, but sometimes other groups form. Sometimes it turns into this great thing and then it totally pivots. And somehow at the end of the weekend, there are several really good, really viable options out there. And I have done it as a mentor many times, and every single time I'm just like, I can't believe I have to go do something. I want to see how this pans out. I want to see how they navigate around this problem. I want to see who ends up leading. Usually I'm testing our view who won. So do I think it's a valuable event? I think it is one of the best events that you can possibly have. Not only does it help create connections in the community, it helps identify people who are going to play a role in either the tech community or in local businesses. It creates relationships that you know. I mean, there are definitely people even in this room that I met at Startup Weekend, and maybe it's the primary basis of our relationship. And I think every single person who actually shows up and completes the experience, I believe every single one of them statistically will tell you that it was worth their time and that it was a valuable experience for them. I promise you, I don't work for OIL. Rajiv has not paid me yet. But I continue to be a sponsor of it because I think it is an awesome program. And if there's any chance that you are thinking about participating, don't fool around, just do it. It will be worth it.
All right. I think that deserves applause. Thank you, Adam. All right, Matthias. As a past participant, how did you use AI during Startup Weekend, and how did it impact your experience?
I participated in the last 2 Startup Weekends. You know, this last one more as an advisor and a judge, and I came to watch the final last stitches, which was great. But the first one that I participated was just when vibe coding had become a thing, right? So it definitely sped up the way in which we could execute. But at the same time, it taught me a lot of lessons about how you can move faster without alignment, right? AI gives you the speed that you need to move in a direction, but we didn't have the right alignment within our group. So I was moving in one direction, one other of my team members was moving in a different one, and it just drastically increased the speed of the chasm between the two of us. At the same time, we had also like Gamma, which really helped with our PowerPoint looking great with 5 minutes because we weren't ready 5 minutes before the presentation, right? And also I think a word of advice is to tell people not to fall in love with an idea on the first night, right? On Friday night, I pitched something, I fell in love with it, and I was set, and I was moving in that direction. And every single piece of customer feedback we were getting was contradicting what I believed in, but I was dead set and married to it. So I think that there's more value in events like SWORL nowadays, right? Because if you do the proper work of talking to customers, understanding their needs, and you have, by the end of those 54 hours, a document that can specify a thorough build, over the next week you can build something that's amazing. And then you already have the clients that are going to come for you once that's produced.
Yeah, awesome, thank you. And Taryn, from your experience, what aspects of Startup Weekend were most valuable to you as a founder?
So I participated in SWORL a few times. I won second place at the Orlando Magic Innovation Challenge, which is kind of a, yeah, my team is awesome. And I can say, like, super passionately, it's the people that you really get to connect with throughout the weekend. Like AI now is probably a lot less stressful as far as the building aspect of Startup Weekend. It allows you to really bring your vision to life, but the collaboration that you really do get to experience and the connections that you make and the ups and downs you get to meet with perfect strangers. You know, there's something to be said about a group of strangers coming together with a goal and completing it, you know, in a short period of time. I think that is something you take away, like really empowered. Like when you want to do something, you do it. And that's just the bottom line of the weekend. If you're set on creating something valuable, you're set on, you know, being able to pivot, you're set on collaborating with the people who also believe in you or believe in the idea that you're working towards. You know, there's a lot to be said about that. So the people that I met were definitely my favorite part. I think the connections that you build, they last with you, and you learn a lot about yourself as well.
Awesome. And Louis, I'm gonna ask you as well, as a mentor, what would you say to someone in this room who's unsure about attending Startup Weekend?
Well, if you like your weekend, don't go, because you know. So it's the full weekend from Friday night all the way to Sunday night. So, and but even if you don't want to start a business, it's just a great experience to meet people and to go through. Anytime that you could put yourself in something really hard and get to the other end, there's a lot of growth that happens, and it's just a very great experience for that. And you make great connections. I have made great connections. Our lead AI engineer, I met at SWORL, and so it's just a great way to meet people, to know something new, to challenge yourself, and come up with something unique that you're gonna be proud of at the end. Yeah.
Okay, very good. So guys, if you're curious about these programs, the team is here. You're welcome to come talk to Rajiv, to Casey, to put your hands up, please, from the organizations. Please come see the team. They'll be able to answer those questions. And with that, I'm going to open up the room to the Q&A.
Testing, thank you. Great panel. Hi, from TV, my team actually. But I have a question specifically for Adam, but everyone else feel free to answer. When it comes to Massey, it's a human the industry I'm in is also very human, based on the hospitality field. And I'm assuming with Massey, you have a wide range of employees as far as age demographic, and that's similar to mine as well. I guess the deeper question is, how did you first increase adoption with AI, and secondly, how do you secure, specifically around the data leakage? So twofold.
Okay, that's a great question. So, okay. I hope you can hear me because I'm not able to move this thing. So, two questions there. The first one is about how we kind of reach all these different people. And I mean, I have to be honest with you, we just haven't, right? Right now, I would say we are catering to a 40 to 50%. And there's a whole bunch of people who are just not there yet. Now, our tooling for a very large company is just not all the way there yet. We aren't forcing this on anybody. And so the vast majority of use in our organization is through Microsoft Copilot, which is OpenAI behind the scenes. We don't really push anything else there. We do have policies about what can and can't be used. And I'll tell you specifically, we categorize everything into 3 buckets: approved tools, unapproved tools, and forbidden tools. So this is a very, rapidly moving categorization. So out of the box, we were like, all right, well, we're gonna proactively block things like DeepSeek, right? Like we don't want knowledge going outside the country, for starters. Not that we're dealing with state secrets or anything, right? But like we have to draw the line somewhere. And then we don't want them just uploading data into any LLM out there. And this becomes problematic because there's not a lot that we can do. We can block it on our network, but like people use their cell phones and I am confident we are just bleeding data into these systems, but I'm hopeful that we have communicated things like, please don't update our protocols for treatment. I don't care if people are uploading memos and things like that. I just don't feel like the information isn't really relevant, and the likelihood that it's going to leak information is pretty low. But the likelihood that someone's going to ask about, what do I do about termites in my house? And if an LLM has access to all of our protocol documents, it very likely could repeat parts of our private IP. So education is the only good answer right now, if you would even consider that a good answer, which I don't. But it's the best answer they've got right now.
To follow up, you don't have a technology stack that addresses that, like CASB,
So yes, we do. We use Zscaler. But we don't have the component that I really want, which is ZIA.
Yeah.
Right? We don't really have that everywhere that I want it. So for those who don't know what we're talking about right now, we're talking about brokering internet connections. So the term used is CASB, which stands for Cloud Access Security Broker, which means all the traffic that you send out to the internet runs through some device, or not really a device, some application sitting in the cloud, and it's inspecting the traffic to look for things that shouldn't be there, or destinations where it shouldn't go, or protocols, and then it's saying, I will permit this, I will not permit this. So if I see something that looks like that someone has uploaded our policies and procedures or protocols that is going to wherever or anywhere, we can block that traffic and send it back. And while we do have tools to do that, they're just not sophisticated enough to do LLM upload inspection yet. This is going to be a very big conversation over the next 6 to 12 months, for sure. And I'm confident everyone who does this is working on the next rev of their software that does this low-level inspection. But you're really smart, and the world has caught up with you. And if it has, I'm not smart enough.
That's a question over here. Yeah.
All right, so mine's gonna be more at the smaller level, so not startup, but more starting to scale, but not at the point where you guys were talking about all of that, because I didn't understand most of it. There's software growing left and right now. My biggest thing that I'm noticing, especially in the bubbles that I am located in, is there are founders. They get very excited about when they see a software and they start building their business on this platform that is ran by somebody that maybe isn't going to be in it long term. You don't know how they're going to be running it, what they're going to have access to in the back end, and all that stuff. How are you talking to founders who are not ready to invest in enterprise-wide, like large-scale, already established platforms when they're starting to grow their business and they want access to new things and they want to build their back end, build this whole thing on it? What do you have them looking into? What do you have them kind of vesting, looking at those different ways to make sure that they can own it or have access to it, even though it's going to be probably like a SaaS, right? They're not building their own back end. But there's so much growing right now, and to me, it's just like some people are popping up and popping out as soon as they make money, and then other people are popping back in again.
Well, that's not different than the last 30 years, but I would say we, as a small SaaS company, we are one of those companies that we're wishing somebody will give you a chance because you're not really being around for that long, and you don't know if you're going to be around next year. And that's not
Yeah.
And so one side of that coin is like, well, you have to believe in what you believe and build the best you can, and have those folks that will give you the chance and to enter the enterprises and play by the rules. And so that's one side of it. On the other side is, what are you building on yourself? Well, if you want the latest tool, things like that. And believe me, we're all the time looking into those things, and sometimes the rug gets pulled from under us, even with the big companies. I mean, OpenAI, you'll be so surprised, changes the game quite a bit, and that for us is a very big deal. And OpenAI has something called the vector score, which is when you get your information and gets vectorized in there. And so it's kind of your knowledge base, and they don't pay a lot of attention to it. And that's a very big deal for us because we really rely on it. So now we gotta we gotta write our own vector schema. And that's quite a risk because that's a complicated thing to do. And but we need to do it to not rely on OpenAI. And OpenAI is a multi-billion-dollar company. So it's a game that you have to be playing all the time. Today, Hagen deprecated our AI avatars and with a new version. And they did it very easily, so we migrated quickly. But it could have been a nightmare. And so you're always depending on those things. In terms of our infrastructure, we build an AWS. We can't mess around. And they have great programs to really lower the cost to get you started quickly.
I'd like to say, just regarding your circumstance that you mentioned, like you need a good plan and you need your priorities, right? So if the back end is really important for your particular business, that's worth investing in long term because it's something that you're going to need. But you can't predict all of these businesses because they do pop up out of nowhere. You know, that's just the lay of the land, and you can get caught up in picking the right thing over and over. But I say just go with it. AI gives you the liberty to fail quickly, right? But a real founder, you're going to plan for the pivot, and that will get you your progress.
I think, how long do we have? Maybe just one question? Oh, okay, all right, awesome. Oh, okay.
Behind you. Although she asked the question first. I've been watching it too. I got you.
Hello, guys. I have an early stage startup that I'm growing, and we have the development capacity. And I'm seeing more isolated softwares, obviously performing much worse than the market. I mean, if you look at Salesforce, for example, every time there's a flood update, there's stock keeps going down. And with that being said, as a growing company, should we be investing in building our own kind of isolated SaaS that fits more of our business? Or should we be going with, I guess, the traditional big ways, even though we can potentially recreate what they're doing, obviously just putting some development?
Yeah, I mean, I can tackle that one. It depends, right? You're obviously not gonna build everything yourself, right? Because your time and energy is better spent building your own product, right? And refining how you get into the best product market fit with your own customers. But that being said, if you're a small startup and you don't have a budget to pay, $1,000 a month on HubSpot on their premium tiers, there's ways that you can build over a weekend a simple CRM that is very tailored to your current needs that might do the job for you at that time, right? So like CRM and of course like note taking is a whole other game, right? And there are pretty good free note takers now. Like you're not gonna build a whole note taker app just for fun, right? There's ways to better spend your energy and think that matter the most. But there are a lot of different small size SaaS applications that if you can save the budget and build it in-house, it might be worth it just because of the level of customization that you can get to do exactly the things that you need and to integrate with your whole suite of products that you already have.
But your question though is almost like, is Salesforce gonna disappear always like SaaS?
Well, and that's also what's kind of maybe the follow-up is, what is going to happen isolated SaaS? When I'm talking about SaaS with networking effects and things like this, but isolated SaaS that usually growing the business.
This is a very large conversation. I think we're not kind of an announcement economy.
Yeah.
So somebody announces something, and then the stuff goes out, and then somebody wrote a blog post who said this SaaS is gonna die, and then we go back to the plunge. People just need to take a bid. And Salesforce is not gonna disappear. And these companies are highly integrated into the customers in ways that people cannot even imagine. So if you already rely on one of the big providers like that, and if you think, unless it's like you were saying, maybe you need to build something quickly to get you going and things like that will be more effective, then do that. But if you are relying on a company like that, like Salesforce, like AWS, if you can afford it, continue doing it. Then I'm going with it. And that's just not.
Just one quick point.
Yeah.
If you're a company like Coca-Cola, right, you're not vibe coding a CRM that works for you over the weekend. And I realize None of us are protocol. However, I think the analogy here is that you can oftentimes meet the minimum requirements you have out of the gate pretty quickly, and then know that you're going to graduate out of that to some other system at some point in time. And therefore, maybe I can come up with something that's good enough for customer tracking for the time being, knowing that when I'm a little more revenue positive, I'm going to have to invest in a CRM system that lets me manage my sales pipeline a little bit better. And by the way, when I get a little bit bigger, I'm not going to be able to just Venmo people on my team money. I'm going to have to invest in a payroll system. And then suddenly you find yourself like, well, I have Salesforce budget, or I have HubSpot budget, and I've got Gusto budget, and I've got that. I think there's a good map for growing into those solutions rather than starting on day one with 85% of my monthly budget is going right into all the SaaS solutions out there.
I think you had the question. You had a guy here. You asked from the very beginning.
Hey, Lon.
Hi.
So my question is, in the development stage, right? Because the application I'm developing is for in the industry I'm in, it's pretty niche, and I wanted to know, going into from development to actually launching, right? How do you choose what to test out, right? Because I have the liberty to test it out generally, right, first, but then there's also just making, like, for example, what you guys said earlier, the MVP ones and so on, get good enough for investors, right? So how does someone determine which one is the better route to test until Lord knows when, or to look for what you're looking for, or just launch and see what happens and start over?
Every time, launch and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then you can start quoting.
Oh, you think you have that?
I would say
Yeah.
which part makes
If
it
no one
more
said
sense?
validation, Rajiv would be really angry right now.
Which function of your business makes you the most money? I think that's what you should start with first, like in your plan, because that's what you want the most feedback on, because that's ultimately what's going to keep you in longevity.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like cash is king, right? So if you launch a big, product and people are already paying for it, that's the biggest validation you can get. And like internal testing just it doesn't get you far enough because you've been looking at the product so far, you're drinking that Kool-Aid, night and day, that it's very easy to fall in love with it, right? And I fall prey of that too, and I've done it multiple times. But whenever you put it out there and actually start getting customer feedback, that's what's gonna guide you to the changes you need to do.
We
to
launched
get
a
the
product with no UI, literally commands, and we got paying customers at that. So always launch and see what happens.
Yeah, I think you have to take a challenge to yourself as well, because there is nothing better than having to have an external input, what it is, how it's used. You imagine that it's perfect and there is nothing else needed because the perfection is our own enemy. But those feedbacks are very important.
And
as
also
a
from
first
the
step.
investor hand, right? Like that whole idea of investing on a business to go and then build it, it's something that doesn't happen unless you just left OpenAI and then you're raising money on an idea. Nowadays, particularly in the Florida market, if you don't have revenue, if you don't have traction, it's going to be very hard for you to raise money.
Any other questions?
How you guys doing? So as an AI advocate, there's a lot of resistance basically in the world today. I think, adoption happens when you have trust mixed with constraint. So my question to anyone on the panel, when did you have your AI moment or moments when you finally trusted utilizing AI when it was just involved?
So I left my job of 19 years to get through, and I was fractioning for companies, helping small companies as a general manager. And I wasn't using AI just yet. Although the way I adopt AI for every tool is I go buy it, literally pay the whole year, so I can force myself to use it. And I recommend everybody to use it. By the way, if you're using the free version or whatever, you're like 7 years behind. So always pay. And it's cheap, come on. And so a customer had asked me to prepare a go-to-market plan for the product. I remember it was 4 p.m. I usually don't do heavy thinking at 4 p.m. because I'm all established that. So my cognitive load is too big to actually start thinking of something new. But I needed to present something next day, and I remember going to ChatGPT and say, well, if I were to make a go-to-market plan for a company that had a pro like this, and I literally did it just for, let's see, because normally I would have gone to Google and trying to find all the go-to-market plans that I could then think, read, understand, digest, adapt, and there would have been a very big. And then he said, well, if you were to do it, you should start thinking about these things. And I said, oh, okay, well, how about the first thing? And then I continued. I was there 2 hours, and by the end of it, I had my go-to-market plan. And to present next day, not just a very generic thing. It was very specific because it depends on the questions you ask, right? And that was the moment that said, oh, the world just changed.
And I'm just gonna chime in. I'm actually 15 products under my belt, 4 of them on the market. I have to say, building a product is far more easier than actually going to market. Because people are looking for a product that solves their problem. So when we built our first product, we actually wanted to solve a real world problem. And that's important. That was 3 years ago. People didn't know how to use AI. They just learned what ChatGPT was. But right now, we're in a perfect spot to build something that people will know how to use it. You just need to solve their problems. Hey.
I want to give you a quick fun one. Over the pandemic, I built a piece of software, and it was to help bands track what they play at their concerts and then run statistics on it and stuff, and users could register. And I built it out, and I was able to sell it to a bunch of bands. And eventually, somebody contacted me and was interested in buying it, and I somehow, despite working at an enterprise, I became a founder, and I exited the company and I sold it, and that whole thing just sort of happened on the side. Maybe a year or two ago, just for fun, after I sold it, I just sat down and prompted Claude on what if I were trying to write this whole thing, and it basically wrote the entire application that I had sold for a non-trivial amount of money, not that far before. And that was the moment that I realized, oh my God, nothing is ever going to be the same. And this is truly a genie that cannot be put back in the bottle. There are lots of things that AI will become very proficient at. And there may be some things that AI will never get as good as a human can be at. But software development is not going to be one of them. It's pretty amazing.
For me, I really embraced trust with AI because I use definitely human touch, emotional intelligence, and using that tool as a software person with a psychology background, it gave me the liberty to see myself through an objective place and make choices moving forward on how I want to perceive those circumstances or that emotion, and seeing how that kind of helped me evolve as a person, working on my character at the time, or, just becoming better through self-improvement in general. That helped me feel really empowered to take back my mind, and really, my methodology focuses a lot on mind-body connection and healing yourself through more internal reflection. So that's where that's really happened for me.
Yeah. And for me, I think that it was right when I joined Codetech, right? I was vibe coding a lot of different things, and I was used to that motion of you prompt it generates something, then you debug it, patch it somehow, repeat the process again. It's kind of like you're thinking the process as you go, right? And that's, it's very exciting and you get you interested in what you're building, but you're also doing a bunch of patchwork and not really creating something that's going to scale. And I had this sustainability platform that I was creating via, Lovable, Bold, Replit. I tried them all, and I reconnected with my co-founder, and he had been working on how do you identify the whole building process in terms of getting to the proper specifications and then, assigning the right agent to the right task at the right moment for a thorough build, right? For something that sometimes would be, 2-3 days long, and nowadays it's longer running than that, right? But back in March last year, we were already being able to do 2 or 3 day long running tasks at a moment, and that was mind blowing.
All right, any more questions in the room? Yes. Gentleman over here. Going once. Going twice.
Yeah, thank you everyone for the discussion. I think one of my questions kind of came up from the discussion about customer feedback and early on the building process. I guess, what are some guiding principles that you would recommend for someone that's starting out a project that you're building on your own, and you get all this feedback from users, and sometimes it can feel overwhelmed because you don't know how to triage it, you don't know, you can just build everything, you can just order things, whatever their base points are, or what extent do you put in your own critical thinking of, like, what, maybe I hear this, but they're really saying this kind of thing,
I would say often if they're willing to let you know about it and you make them wait long enough, then they'll pay for it,
Yeah, always make it very good, but we get this all the time because we're, very young application. And when you asked me a question about expectations, I was thinking about our customers. Our customers think that AI can do a lot more than it actually can. So managing expectations of customers is a lot harder than founders. And but we ask them a lot. It's like, well, okay, that's good, but if you could only have one, then which one would you like? If you had a magic one, and I could give you one thing, what would that be? And then they'll tell you that one thing, and that's what I expect. Every single time.
I think it also needs to be niched down to your goal, right? And then have a bit of a funnel for you to follow. Otherwise, you're gonna go berserk and get lost in the process. Once you have it nailed down for yourself, what's your North Star? Aim for that. Of course, there'll be back and forth movement that you need to change because AI is moving, everything is moving in this world, and we need to move at pace, right? Being a founder is not faint-hearted. This is what I say. You need to have your North Star, so you don't get, crazy with yourself.
Yeah, I think Apple would be a good reflection of kind of the question you're asking because, they rolled out a new phone with new features and they made the customers wait for it. And, some of it eventually wasn't very, groundbreaking. They took it from, Android phones and just put it in Apple phones. So by that point, they had, relationships with their customers and, solving the problem through the marketing. But,
Okay, any more questions? No, I think we've had an amazing discussion, and
Yes, we did.
I'll give it to you. But I want to give a round of applause to you all, guys. Thank you.
Yes, let's give them another round of applause, too. Rajiv, did you want to close out?
Sure. Thanks, Sophia.
Yeah, thank you guys, that was fantastic, a really good and great question from the crowd as well. I just wanted to get a quick sense of how you guys are feeling about all what you've heard so far. How many of you are worried about AI job losses?
Okay, only half of you, that's good. The rest of you are pretty confident, I like that.
This will be more.
It should be a lot more hands.
You are more than your job.
Did everybody hear the question? The question was, how many of you are worried about AI job losses? Put your hands up if you're worried. If you're not worried, please put your hand up. Oh, okay, great. How many of you have entrepreneurial aspirations? Like you want to have your own business, you want to start, you want to be a founder? Can you put your hands up, please? How many of you want to do that? Okay, it's about 70% of you. Great. Now, how many of you think that becoming an entrepreneur in 2026 is easier or is it harder? So let me see the hands go up for if you think it's getting easier to be a founder today. Put your hand up. Oh, great.
Successful one? Successful one?
I'm going to use the word, I'm going to use the founder, not exit.
What's your measure of success, Mike?
I'm just talking about founding at this point. No, yeah.
Don't forget my entrepreneur's creed though. We don't do this because it's easy. We do it because we thought it would be easy.
That's a good one. I like that. So, you know what? You guys are on track. So, I think at least half of you put your hands up for job losses. You guys are all entrepreneurial, and you realize that this is actually, entrepreneurship is one of the few career paths in, white collar jobs until the robots come, right? You have a little bit of time before the robots get here. But for white collar jobs, right? So for white collar jobs, all of the white collar jobs are under threat, right? Every single one of them. But the one career path that has never been easier to get on is entrepreneurship. Right? But entrepreneurship, as we all know, is one of the hardest things you can do as a human being for a career choice because you have to solve a lot of problems and you got to figure out different disciplines. You got HR, you got legal, you got customer, you got product, you got all these things that you got to figure out. But you've never had it easier with AI tools, and AI tools are there to help you in various ways. Plus, you've got to really lean into the community that we have here with bot and going to events like this where you have training in specialized tools. You've got experts who've done it before, like the panel here. These are the resources that you can lean on, alongside the resources you already have, which is your own personal skill sets, alongside AI. That's what we try to bring together, right? Events like this, like Startup Weekend, would not be possible without our friends that we have, like Bob and like Startup Studio, and sponsors like Cassie, and mentors like Luis. We bring all of this together for you guys to give you the best chance of success. And the one thing that sets us apart at Startup Weekend, as I said before, is you're going to be dealing with the real customer. So I hope that all of you can take this opportunity, because the event is the Friday after this one, it's next week, and it's a whole weekend, so it is a major commitment. There's no denying that part. But it's only twice a year, so this is one of the two. You want the spring or the fall. I hope to see all of you, if not most of you there. This would be a great opportunity to get your idea moving. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night, and then pass it to Sophia.
Cool. One more thing. Yeah. Just because it's applicable, and so many of you guys are talking about UX and product design. April 9th right here, we have the UX Advantage building product behavioral. So if you did not scan the QR code to go to Box event, right? We have that specifically for you. So I just want to bring that up. Of course, it's free. It will be right here in this space, April 9th. Additionally, if you're looking to build your brand, we have our signature event that's going to be all about building your brand, sticking out, and building that niche and that authenticity that we've been talking about all of the time. So I want to point to those two specifically before we leave. And again, thank you guys. And now we can go ahead and do the picture. Thank you.
Cool, hey guys, come on down, let's take a picture together before we all leave.
Come right here to the front.
19. Let's go. I took video and pictures too. But I wouldn't grab some stuff before they fall off. Where did you get your suit, by the way?
It's